The effectiveness of comedy is one of the most subjective elements of storytelling, which can make it intimidating for writers. What one person finds hilarious, another might find dull or even irritating. Despite its subjectivity, comedy is pretty useful in storytelling for its ability to add levity, endear characters to audiences, and balance dramatic tension. While jokes don't always have to be funny to everybody, they must make logical sense within the narrative and for the character delivering them. The goal is to tell cohesive stories and write internally logical characters, not marketing them to mass markets. The first and most important rule of comedy is that not all jokes will land with every audience member. Writers often fall into the trap of striving to make every joke universally funny, which is an impossible standard. Instead, jokes should be tailored to the characters, the intended tone, and the writer's personal sense of humor. A joke that resonates deeply with the writer is more likely to feel authentic and connect with audiences who share a similar sense of humor. Hold on, intended tone? Why did I say the intended tone? Well, tone is pretty subjective and superfluous. I'm not going to get into that here, but I'll link some of my friends' videos on the topic if you want to delve deeper. For example, Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean delivers witty one-liners that might not elicit belly laughs from everyone, but they are perfectly in line with his sly, opportunistic personality. The humor is genuine in the sense that it acts as a vessel to explore his character. It all stems from his unique worldview and chaotic approach to problem solving. Writers should prioritize this kind of contextual logic over the pressure to write universally funny material. Comedy and storytelling works best when it's rooted in the characters. A joke should be something a specific character would say or do based on their established personality, motivations, and experiences. Some characters use humor as a shield to deflect emotional vulnerability or mask pain. Tony Stark is one of the best examples. His sarcastic quips and witty remarks are both a source of comedy and a deeper insight into his personality. Stark's humor reflects his defense mechanism against insecurity and trauma, making it not only funny, but also emotionally resonant. The dual purpose enhances his character, since it's not just an excuse to make the audience chuckle, but in certain uses, his joking becomes almost uncanny considering how much he goes through. Writers can use this technique to add depth to their characters. By having a character use humor to cope with stress, fear, or sadness, writers can make their characters more natural and grounded. Even during serious moments, this approach ensures the humor serves the story rather than undercutting it. Of course, you don't have to look far into the catalog of MCU content to find countless instances where they lampoon the quality of the stories for the sake of comedy. But there's a reason the first Iron Man is a frequent point of discussion on this channel. Other characters might not intentionally tell jokes, but their dialogue or actions are written to be funny from a meta perspective, like B-127 from Transformers 1. The funny thing with B is that his dialogue is pretty blunt. He has a thought and he just says it.
I get to work for the government!
He's not trying to make everyone else laugh, because most characters find him very off-putting. He kind of reminds me of the genie from Aladdin, since he's established to have lived a cruel life of isolation, and he's just ecstatic to be around other people. And that manifests in total emotional honesty. Now, a lot of people took issue with B's comedic dialogue from the first trailer, and fewer but nonetheless a decent number of viewers thought the same thing with the film itself. Personally, the types of jokes he makes aren't really my kind of humor. In fact, I usually find that kind of behavior pretty obnoxious in real life, but you guys should know me well enough to know that even if I dislike something, I won't necessarily call it bad. Sure, I personally wouldn't have written B to behave like that, but his jokes are in character, so I don't really see an issue with that. As a side note, have you ever wondered why I'll almost never criticize or praise comedy in movies? Because my sense of humor is weird as hell, and most people struggle to understand it. My emotional response to something isn't any more or less valid than anyone else. I keep hammering this home since I think it's important to make the distinction clear. All that matters is that your story makes internal, logical sense and fulfills the themes and fulfills everything required to make the narrative work. If the audience gravitate towards it, they gravitate towards it. If they don't, they just don't. There's nothing you can do to force it. This type of humor relies on the writer's ability to step outside the character's perspective and recognize how their unique traits or misunderstandings of the world can create absurd or amusing situations. That being said, this meta-humor still aligns with the character's personality and logic. If the character suddenly behaves in a way that contradicts their established traits for the sake of a joke, the humor risks feeling forced or out of place. Comedy writing can be daunting because it feels like such a high-stakes endeavor. Writers often worry about whether or not their jokes will make everyone laugh, but the pressure can lead to self-censorship or overthinking. A more effective approach is to write jokes that you personally find funny. If a writer genuinely enjoys the humor they create, the authenticity often translates to the page and resonates with audiences. The key is to ensure that the humor fits the character, setting, and intended tone of the story. A writer's personal sense of humor, combined with their understandings of their characters, is a powerful tool for crafting jokes that feel both natural and entertaining. Obviously, if you want to get some input, you should ask people to give their feedback, but their feedback will only come from their personal subjective cocktail of emotions when reading or watching your material. You can't run polls on the entire human race, nor should you ever treat one person's subjective emotional response as the end all be all. This approach will also help you avoid burnout. By focusing on humor the writer finds enjoyable, rather than trying to meet an abstract standard of universal comedy, writers can maintain their enthusiasm and creativity throughout the writing process. Now, obviously, a story will have an intended emotion for different sequences and moments, so you probably wouldn't want to include jokes during scenes that are intended to be tense or terrifying or sad. But who knows? Maybe you can do that. I'm not your fucking mother. But I think it's valuable to just consider context because that really is the key. Like with anything in your story, your jokes should make contextual sense. For example, Tony Stark's quips often come during high stakes moments, but they don't diminish the gravity of the situation. Instead, they reinforce his character's coping mechanism and provide brief moments of levity. Similarly, B-127's humor arises organically from his literal interpretation of language, which aligns with his experiences emotionally stunting him. Writing comedy requires a willingness to take risks and embrace failure. Not every joke will work, but that's part of the process. Writers should focus on honing their instincts by observing the humor in everyday situations, studying character-driven comedies, and experimenting with different comedic styles. I think one of the most effective ways to write comedy is by pairing up characters with completely opposing personalities and tossing them into a situation that forces them to take action. By exploring how their contrasting traits lead to misunderstandings or clashes, writers can generate comedy that's both organic and character driven. And another thing you should try is by analyzing your favorite comedic moments from films or shows, breaking down why they work. Is the humor situational, character based, or rooted in wordplay? Understanding these mechanics will help writers apply similar techniques to their own work. Comedy is one of the most versatile and rewarding tools in a writer's arsenal, capable of deepening characters, enhancing storytelling, and connecting with audiences. By focusing on humor that's true to the characters and their authentic view of their own reality, writers can create jokes that resonate without the burden of trying to please everyone. Whether it's Tony Stark's biting sarcasm or B-127's unintentional hilarity, the best jokes are ones that make logical sense for the characters delivering them, adding depth to the story as a whole. That's it for today's video. If you liked it, give it a like and hit the subscribe button, join my Patreon page for early access to my videos, and join my Discord server. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.